Well, we shook the proverbial money tree, saw where the dollars fell, and which companies are raking it in. Joining me today is Technology Association of Georgia President and CEO Larry Williams, TTV Capital partner Sean Banks. Thanks for both being here. So we looked at venture capital statistics for the first quarter of the year, and one of the sectors raking in a lot of that money is the technology sector. Why?
Well, you know, here in Georgia, the technology sector just continues to boom. I've always described the technology sector in Georgia as where technology meets the real world. We have more companies that are coming up with new ideas, building the next generation of ingenuity to really drive innovation and create great companies. And we do it in sectors that are so important to the overall economy. Cybersecurity, digital health, fintech.
Yeah.
This is where we dominate, and we've got companies that are not only dominating the area today, but we're thinking about what that next generation of innovation is and those new great companies that people want to invest in.
Now, you mentioned specific sectors in the technology sector, and Sean, I want to turn to you because when we looked at the list of money tree venture capital recipients on that money tree survey from PricewaterhouseCoopers, the largest draw, three companies seem to have taken in the most, and they were in internet security or mobile technology, that space. Is that typical? Is that where the growth sectors are?
Well, in Atlanta, for sure. You're starting to see the coalescence around the different ecosystems where the big players who are industry leaders in the Fortune 500 recognize innovation often has to come from the outside. So they are now being proactive about partnering with folks like TAG to come up with solutions to spur more and more innovation at the very earliest stage. And that's very attractive to venture investors.
Where are we in that lifespan, if you will? Or do we have a lot of startups still, or are we seeing companies more mature?
Well, it's really a great thing to have, right?
Yep.
So if you look at that list, probably half of them are first or second rounds of capital that got funded. Then you've got later stage companies that are getting the bigger and majority of the dollars themselves. That begets future funding quarters that are going to look like this one, because the earlier stage ones will continue to matriculate, and if they're raising those big rounds of capital, we're doing something right at the early stage to grow them.
The quality of the deals and the companies that we're building here are phenomenal. And it's not only the deal flow in the companies itself, but it's also the talent and the management that we have. Because a lot of times they're investing as much in the management and the team as they are in the company themselves. And they're seeing that here in Atlanta.
And I wanted to ask you about the quality. What is so attractive about Atlanta, and why are companies investing here so rapidly?
Well, I think part of it is, you know, the companies and where we have our strengths and what we call where Georgia leads is we've got decades of experience, and we've kept up with the innovations and driven a lot of the innovations. So we talk about fintech. I mean, think about check processing and how that has evolved to the digital economy today. We've kept up, and we've been at the forefront of that. Cybersecurity as well. We've been at the forefront as it's gone from, you know, internet and network security all the way up to securing mobile devices. We've led the charge there. So whenever people look at our market, they know that we've got the depth and the experience to continue to build those types of companies.
Where's the money coming from? Are we still drawing from a lot of out-of-state investors, or are we seeing a lot of growth here in Georgia?
It's fairly blended. We are very active at TTV in the early stage investing. I see BIP on that list several times over. I know that tech operators in Nora Mosley are out there looking at new opportunities to invest, engage. So you have plenty of early stage capital that's going into the Series A and the Series B rounds, and we are able to bring in the outside investors for the larger rounds. There's not a lot of Georgia-based private equity firms that are leading the big tech rounds right now. But that's because the early stage investors have done a fairly good job of helping matriculate the early stage guys to a place where it's time to bring that outside capital in. And that's great for the economy as a whole, because we're having outsiders invest in Georgia for growth.
Right. Now, the stock market's been doing really, really well. We've seen more IPOs. How does that play into venture capital further down the road?
Well, it's a great opportunity for the venture capitalists, one, to start having liquidity, returning money back to their investors, so those investors will put money back into venture. So a strong IPO market is definitely good for venture capital.
Any last thoughts, Larry?
Well, it's just such a robust ecosystem here. We continue to have companies, venture capitalists and other equity from around the country look to Georgia. This is very important for us that we've got the great geography, we've got the academia, we've got the research, we've got the people that are really driving the next generation.
Well, we'll have to end it there. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
And now to our photo of the week. No, this isn't the Soul Train line. Atlanta Business Chronicle photographer Byron Small captured this excited bunch. They are the past and current honorees of the YWCA of Greater Atlanta's Salute to Women of Achievement.